Welcome to Reality Rewire, presented by the Wisdom Network. We're here to explore the tools, practices, and healing modalities that create real transformation from the inside out. Today's conversation is one that you're definitely going to want to hear. Let's get into it.
I want to start today with a scenario that I think is going to be painfully familiar to a lot of people listening. Imagine you have, done the work.
Oh, the work. We hear that phrase all the time.
Right, and I don't mean you listened to one self-help audiobook on a road trip and called it a day. I mean, you have really done it. You've been on the therapist's couch every Tuesday at 4 p.m. for like 3 years.
You've done the EMDR, the CBT, the whole alphabet soup.
Exactly. You filled, I don't know how many journals with your deepest, darkest childhood memories. You stood in front of your bathroom mirror reciting affirmations, I am worthy, I am abundant, until you felt absolutely ridiculous.
Because you've read the books, you've highlighted the paragraphs, you understand exactly why you are the way you are.
Yes. You have the map. You know you date emotionally unavailable people because your dad was distant, or you sabotage your finances because your mom had severe anxiety about money. You have the insight.
You have the complete timeline of your own dysfunction.
You really do.
Yeah.
But
then your bank account hits that exact same low number again.
yep. Or you find yourself crying in your car over another person who won't commit, and you are left asking literally the most frustrating question in the human experience.
Which is, if I know exactly why I do this, why can't I stop doing it?
That is exactly what we are unpacking in our deep dive today.
Oh.
We're going to look at the mechanics of human behavior and why traditional talk therapy and positive thinking, despite being the gold standard advice for decades, why they so often fail to actually change our deep-seated behaviors.
It's a bold premise, I know, but when you look at the raw facts of how human operating systems work, the argument is incredibly direct. We are trying to use conversation to fix code.
And structurally, that
This
just...
doesn't work. It's
Yeah.
the wrong tool for the job.
So the solution isn't try harder or talk more. It's about accessing the operating system directly. Today we're talking about hypnosis, we're talking about energy work, and we are going deep into the literal mechanics of the subconscious mind.
Let's start with the architecture of the mind, right? To understand why you're still stuck, you really have to look at the processing power. The conscious mind, the part of you that is listening to this deep dive right now, the part that analyzes, that talks, that makes grocery lists.
The part that feels like me.
Right. The you that you identify with. That part is responsible for roughly 5% of your cognitive activity.
5%. I mean, that seems incredibly low. I feel like I'm thinking all day long.
And that's the generous estimate. Some neuroscientists argue it's even less, closer to 1 to 3%, the other 95%. That is your subconscious.
Which is running the show behind the scenes.
Exactly. It handles your autonomic functions, obviously your heartbeat, digestion, cell regeneration, but it also houses your emotional reactions, your automatic habits, your trauma responses, and your core beliefs.
And here is the kicker with all of this. The subconscious does not speak English.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't speak logic. And it definitely doesn't care about your rational analysis of a situation.
This is what we call the insight trap, and it explains that massive disconnect so perfectly. You go to therapy, and therapy is fantastic for safety, for feeling heard, for crisis management.
Right. We are not bashing therapy here. It saves lives.
Absolutely. For distinct mental health conditions, it's essential. But we have to look at its mechanical limitations. Talk therapy operates almost exclusively in that 5% conscious zone.
Because it relies on language.
It relies on the prefrontal cortex. Logic, language, timelines, making sense of things.
So you can spend years gaining this highly sophisticated intellectual understanding of your trauma. You can trace it all the way back to 1995 with perfect clarity.
You could practically write a dissertation on your own psychological makeup. But the subconscious program driving the actual behavior remains completely untouched.
Because you've never spoken to it in its own language.
Exactly. You're analyzing the symptom, but you aren't reprogramming the source. That is the insight trap. You get that huge aha moment in a session. You feel incredibly validated. But because the two systems, conscious and subconscious, aren't even in the same room, nothing changes behaviorally.
I love the analogy of a broken car engine here. It's like understanding exactly which part of your engine is busted, explaining it in perfect detail to a mechanic, drawing a diagram of it.
But never actually lifting the hood to use a wrench.
Right. Insight is a conscious function. Behavior is a subconscious function. So insight without reprogramming is just awareness without change.
It's a heavy realization. It leaves a lot of people feeling like, great, now I'm fully aware of exactly how I'm ruining my life, but I'm still helplessly doing it.
Which leads us perfectly to the other tool everyone tries when they realize talking isn't fixing the behavior. Positive thinking.
Oh, the affirmations. Fake it till you make it.
Yes, I am a millionaire. I am radiating confidence. I deeply love my body. The facts on this are actually quite critical of that approach. For people with deep-seated trauma or negative beliefs, positive affirmations can actually backfire violently.
Because if you tell yourself you're great, but you don't believe it, it doesn't just eventually stick.
Right. Why is that? Why doesn't repetition work there?
Because it creates massive internal conflict. Think about it mechanically. If your subconscious mind, which, remember, is 95% of your processing power, is running a program that says, I am unsafe or I am unworthy, and you stand in front of a mirror and consciously use your 5% to say, I am safe,
It feels like a lie.
it is a lie, and your subconscious absolutely knows it. It has a massive vault of stored evidence. It has years of memories, deeply felt emotions, and sensory data that prove its point.
It's like trying to paint over old, rotting wallpaper.
The new paint looks great for, what, an hour?
Maybe a day if you use good paint, but the rot is still underneath. It's going to bleed through.
And psychologists actually call this the backfire effect, or cognitive dissonance. When you state something that directly contradicts a deeply held subconscious belief, your mind doesn't just passively reject it, it doubles down on the original negative belief to protect your reality.
So you look in the mirror and say, I am rich. And your subconscious basically pulls up a mental PDF of your credit card debt and screams, no, you are not.
Exactly. It presents all the receipts. And now you have resistance. You end up feeling significantly worse than when you started because you've just highlighted the massive gap between where you are and where you want to be. The subconscious demands proof, not just catchy slogans.
And this resistance that comes up, this isn't just the mind being difficult, right? There's a specific mechanism for this called the critical faculty.
Yes, the critical faculty. You can think of it as a firewall in a computer system. It's a literal barrier between your conscious and subconscious minds. Its entire job is to evaluate incoming information.
Which is useful in daily life.
Extremely useful. If I tell you right now, the sky is neon green, your critical faculty evaluates that, says false, and rejects it. You don't want to just blindly absorb every piece of information you encounter.
But when you're trying to heal, that protective filter becomes a huge problem. It becomes the bouncer standing at the door of the VIP club, refusing to let any of your new programming in.
Correct. You are trying to install a software update, let's say, I am worthy of love, but the firewall scans it, sees it doesn't match the current installed version of I am unlovable, and it just blocks the installation.
This is exactly why you can read all the self-help books in the world and still feel totally stuck.
The information is just bouncing off the firewall. It never gets root access to the system.
Okay, so clearly we need a way to get past the bouncer.
We need to bypass the critical faculty entirely. We have to sneak into the club through the back door.
And we are going to get into exactly how to do that with hypnosis in a minute. But before we do, we have to talk about one more reason people stay stuck. And honestly, looking into this concept made me squirm a little. It's
confrontational.
Very. The concept is secondary gain, and it's the idea that we actually get some sort of secret, hidden benefit from staying miserable.
It's a hard pill to swallow.
If you tell someone who is genuinely suffering, someone with chronic, debilitating anxiety or severe physical pain, that they are benefiting from it, they're going to get incredibly defensive. I know I would.
And rightfully so. We
Okay.
have to be crystal clear here. Secondary gain does not mean you consciously want to suffer. No one wakes up on a Tuesday and says, you know what, I'd love to have a full-blown panic attack today. It is not about conscious masochism.
So how does it work then? Why would I hold on to a problem that is actively ruining my life?
Because the subconscious is, above all else, a survival machine. It is not interested in your happiness or your self-actualization. It is only interested in your safety. It calculates costs and benefits in a very primal, almost economic way.
So if a problem is stuck around for years,
The subconscious has decided that the cost of healing is simply higher than the cost of staying stuck.
that seems so counterintuitive. Give us a real-world example of that. What does the subconscious get out of, say, being broke? Everyone consciously wants to be financially secure.
Consciously, yes, but subconsciously. Let's say you grew up seeing wealthy people portrayed as greedy or evil, or you saw your parents fighting viciously over money. Your subconscious might view wealth as a literal threat to your social belonging. It creates a rule. If I get rich, my family will resent me or my tribe will reject me.
Wow. So it actively keeps you broke to keep you safe and connected to your family.
Exactly. The secondary gain of being broke is belonging. Or take chronic illness. This is a sensitive one, but if you have a deep hidden belief that I only deserve to rest if my body physically gives out, or people only show me love when I'm hurting,
Then the subconscious has a very strong incentive to keep that illness active.
it's essentially buying you love or rest with the currency of sickness.
That is just wild. It's a twisted logic, but you can see how it is an airtight logic to the survival brain.
It's perfectly logical to a system that prioritizes survival over joy. And this is another area where talk therapy often hits a wall. We spend years focusing on how much the problem hurts. We very rarely stop to ask, what is this problem actually doing for me?
And until you resolve that secondary gain, your subconscious is going to fight any attempt to heal tooth and nail.
Because it thinks healing is dangerous.
Okay, so we've established the trap. We are talking to the wrong part of the brain, we're fighting a powerful firewall with weak affirmations, and we might actually be getting secret benefits from our own misery. So how do we actually fix the code? The literature is incredibly bullish on hypnosis as the primary tool.
Extremely bullish. But we need to demystify the word hypnosis immediately. We're not talking about a guy swinging a pocket watch and making people cluck like chickens on a stage.
Right, that's stage entertainment.
Clinical hypnosis is something else entirely. It's a neurobiological state.
So what is it mechanically? Because I think people hear the word and they immediately jump to mind control.
It's actually the exact opposite of mind control. It's about finally gaining control of your own mind. Hypnosis utilizes a completely natural brain state called the theta brainwave state. You enter the state multiple times every single day.
Like when? Give us an example.
Have you ever been driving home on a familiar route, you totally zone out, and suddenly you're pulling into your driveway, but you have zero memory of the last 3 traffic lights?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of terrifying when you snap out of it.
That phenomenon is a mild hypnotic state. It's a state of deeply focused internal attention where the external peripheral world just fades away. And in that theta state, something crucial happens mechanically. The critical faculty that bouncer we talked about steps aside.
The door is open.
The door is wide open. You suddenly have direct read and write access to the subconscious mind.
I love the analogy for this. Talk therapy is like trying to fix a major computer glitch by talking to the user. Hey, please stop clicking that button. It's ruining everything.
And hypnosis is opening the developer terminal and literally rewriting the source code.
That's the perfect way to view it. And because you are accessing the code directly, the speed of the results is just exponentially faster.
You weren't negotiating with resistance anymore. You aren't spending 6 months just building a relationship with the therapist so you feel safe enough to talk. You are going straight in, locating the corrupt file, and deleting it.
Let's talk about the specific technique of regression to cause. It sounds a little bit like time travel. How does that actually play out in a session?
In a way, it is mental time travel. Remember, the subconscious stores absolutely everything. It has a perfectly time-stamped record of every emotion and physical sensation you've ever felt. In a hypnosis session, a practitioner guides you back down the timeline to the root event.
Which is usually really early on, right?
Almost always in the first 7 years of life. That's when we are naturally in a theta state all the time, just absorbing programming like sponges. We go back to the exact moment the negative pattern started.
The exact moment the corrupt code was written.
Right. Say you were 5 years old, and your dad forgot to pick you up from school for 2 hours. To an adult, that's just a traffic error or a scheduling mistake. But to a 5-year-old brain, that feels like literal life or death abandonment. The subconscious writes a line of code right then and there. The people I love will leave me. I am not important.
And then you unknowingly run that exact code for 30 years in every romantic relationship you ever have.
Exactly. You subconsciously pick partners who are emotionally unavailable just to prove the code right. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. But in hypnosis, we go back to that 5-year-old moment.
To fix it.
We release the trapped emotional charge, the fear, the tears, the panic that the child couldn't process at the time, and then we reframe the meaning. We update the code to the adult truth. Dad was just forgetful. He still loved me. I am completely safe, and I am deeply lovable.
And when you change that root belief,
The entire tree changes. The relationship anxiety you've had for decades simply stops because the generator producing the anxiety is gone.
that brings us perfectly to the other half of this solution. Because we aren't just floating heads, right? We have physical bodies. And a massive point in our deep dive today revolves around energy healing.
You have to look at the physiology of emotion. Trauma isn't just a fleeting thought in your brain. It is a physical, electrical charge. It is physically stored in your central nervous system, in the fascia of your muscles, and in the body's electromagnetic field.
So you literally cannot just think your way out of a trauma response because it's fundamentally lodged in your tissue.
Exactly. You cannot intellectualize a somatic blockage. Have
Yeah.
you ever felt that intense tightness in your chest right before you have to speak in public? Or that heavy pit in your stomach when you get bad news?
Sure, it feels like a literal physical weight.
That weight is energy. That is a dense collection of neuropeptides and electromagnetic charge. The conscious talking mind has absolutely no jurisdiction in that physical space. You can understand the psychological roots of your grief perfectly, but if that dense charge is stuck in your solar plexus, you are still going to feel the physical heaviness.
You can't talk it away any more than you can talk away a broken arm.
Exactly.
The research makes a bold claim here. It says energy is primary. What does that mean in practical terms?
It means the energetic field is the blueprint for the physical and mental reality. Think of it like a movie projector.
Okay.
The energy field is the light bulb inside the projector. Your thoughts and emotions are the film strip. If the light bulb itself is flickering and unstable, the movie playing on the screen is going to look distorted, no matter how high quality the film strip is.
So if you have a distortion in your energy field, like a static signal from old trauma, it's just going to keep broadcasting feelings of anxiety or fear up into your mind.
Yes. It's the difference between frantically bailing water out of a sinking boat versus just patching the hole. Therapy is often bailing the water. Energy healing patches the hole. It works in a dimension that the conscious mind can't even touch, which means there is zero conscious resistance.
The body just lets it go.
It just releases it.
Yeah.
This is why people often physically shake or burst into tears or feel intense waves of heat during energy sessions. That stored voltage is finally moving out of the tissue.
And the absolute gold standard, according to the mechanics we're looking at today, is combining these two modalities, hypnosis plus energy work.
It really is the ultimate 1-2 punch for transformation. Hypnosis goes in and reprograms the belief system, the software. Energy healing clears out the physical and electromagnetic charge, the hardware issues.
So you do both.
The problem simply has nowhere left to live. It has no mental hook left and no physical anchor holding it down. That is when you see those incredible rapid transformations where someone changes completely in a month after struggling in talk therapy for a decade.
And then, just to cap all of this off, spiritual life coaching is mentioned as the final piece of the puzzle. Why is that necessary if we've theoretically just cleared out all the bugs and fixed the code?
Because nature abhors a vacuum. If you successfully delete your old, decades-long, I am a victim identity, you are left with a blank space. You have to consciously build the new identity. You have to ask, who am I now that I'm not broken?
Right. You need a new direction.
That's where coaching comes in to architect and build the new life on the newly cleared ground.
Okay, this is all incredibly fascinating, and I think a lot of listeners are nodding along.
You have biological windows of opportunity every single day where your brain naturally enters that highly programmable theta state.
Let's talk about those windows. Tip number 1 for everyone listening. Utilizing your natural theta states.
Right. Remember how we established that hypnosis is just a brain state? You pass through that exact state twice a day, every day, completely naturally. The moments right before you fall asleep and the moments right when you're waking up.
The twilight zone.
Yes. Biologically, it's called the hypnagogic state. Now, what do most people do with that incredibly precious time? They scroll social media, reading bad news, or they lie there actively worrying about tomorrow's to-do list.
They're literally programming their open subconscious with anxiety, lack, and comparison.
Right when the door is wide open.
Oof, I am definitely guilty of the late-night doom scrolling in bed.
You have to stop doing that, seriously. Reclaim that window. As you're drifting off to sleep, consciously loop your new reality. I am calm. I am completely secure. Abundance flows too. Whatever the new program needs to be.
Just repeat it as you fall asleep.
Visualize it. Feel the emotion of it. Speak directly to your subconscious when it is actually listening. It is the single most potent time of day for self-reprogramming because that critical faculty firewall is completely offline.
That's a great actionable shift. Tip number 2 is about the body. Somatic awareness.
Yes. We have to stop living entirely in our heads. When you feel the pattern coming on, the sudden jealousy, the wave of fear, the urge to withdraw, don't immediately analyze it. Don't ask your brain, why am I feeling this? Ask your body, where am I feeling this?
Just locating it geographically in your physical body.
Exactly. Is it a tight, hot knot in your stomach? Is it a feeling of constriction in your throat? Just observe the raw sensation without judging it. You are learning to speak your body's language.
How does just noticing it help, though?
By acknowledging the physical location, you are beginning to move that stuck energy. You are telling your nervous system, I hear you, I feel the alarm. That alone often prevents the emotion from getting lodged deeper into the tissue.
Okay, and the third tip, this is the really tough one, the journaling prompt from hell.
The secondary game question. If you are feeling really stubbornly stuck on an issue, you need to sit down with a journal and ask yourself, what benefit am I getting from keeping this problem?
And you have to be brutally, uncomfortably honest.
Radical honesty. If I stay broke, I don't ever have to risk failing at a business. If I stay single, I don't ever have to risk the agony of rejection. If I stay paralyzed by anxiety, I don't have to make any hard life decisions.
It's intense to look at yourself that way.
It is, but once you drag that hidden subconscious motive out into the conscious light, it instantly loses its power over you. The subconscious can really only trick you when it's operating in the dark.
It feels like this whole approach requires a massive shift in how we measure our own progress. We are so conditioned to measure success by how much we know about our issues.
Right. We have to stop measuring success by our level of insight. You need to start measuring it by your automatic reactions.
What does that look like in practice?
It looks like getting triggered by a text message, and instead of spiraling into anxiety for 3 whole days, you process it and recover your baseline in 10 minutes.
That is the win.
That is the code actually changing.
It's incredibly empowering to think that we aren't just these fundamentally broken machines that need to be carefully managed forever.
That is the core message of everything we've talked about today. You do not need to simply manage your symptoms for the rest of your life. You need to change your source code. Your current reality is not a fixed, permanent trait. It is just a program. And any program can be rewritten.
So stop endless analyzing. Stop just talking about the problem over and over.
And start actively reprogramming it. Go deep into the operating system.
That's it for our deep dive today. We'll see you next time.
If anything in today's episode stirred something in you, that's a sign. And if you are ready to stop doing this alone, we have an incredible community of healers, spiritual life coaches, and hypnotherapists at the Wisdom Network who are ready to meet you exactly where you are and take you somewhere completely new. That's right. Head over to thewisdomnetwork.net, find your practitioner, and take that powerful leap forward. We'll see you in the next episode.